The Fed's out with a scary warning on how intentional attacks on the power grid could plunge America into complete darkness. It comes days after gunfire at 2 substations in North Carolina. It shut off the lights for thousands for 5 days, and it was freezing temperatures, too, by the way. But the feds warn it wasn't an isolated incident. Get this, 5 electricity substations in Oregon and Washington were attacked last month. North Carolina governor says this should be a national issue.
We have to have a serious national conversation about protecting our critical infrastructure, because this is unacceptable to have this many people without power for this long. It was clear that they knew how to cause significant damage.
Harold, we've been worried for many years about a cyber attack on our grid or the Russians taking down our grid somehow. It turns out actually Americans are here. We think it's Americans, shooting up at these substations. And today, the sheriff said that whoever shot it was not just, it wasn't like random, that they knew exactly what they were doing to target it to take out the electricity.
Right. So I read that also, and it led me to believe that whomever did this knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, Jesse and I, as much as we like going around shooting BB guns, we wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to shoot at if we were trying to put out the lighting system somewhere. So we don't go around shooting BB guns. But at the same time, this is what the investigative powers in Congress and the Senate should be, one of the things they should be focused on. I mean, what is it that is being done in New York, in Memphis, where I'm from, in Dallas, and Houston, and Detroit, to guard those systems? So, how many people they think may know what to shoot at, what to grab at, what to pull off if you're going to, I should say, pull out if you're trying to disrupt, like this power grid here was disrupted. We saw what happened in Texas with the weather a little over a year ago. We need whatever money may be left in this infrastructure bill that was passed by Congress. We got to allocate some of those resources, even some of the unused resources for COVID, to try to help cities and municipalities deal with this issue before we find ourselves with another challenge like this.
We have criminals, Judge, and so far I haven't seen anything that there's cameras or we have lights around there that would tell us who these people are. And it could lead to something even like a homicide, right? Because if somebody dies...
Oh, of course, but the homicide, with all due respect, is really the least of it. We've got 55,000 power stations as substations in this country. All of them are accessible, okay? Some of them have cameras. Some of them have concrete barriers. Some of them, like the one in Lower Manhattan, I did one of my shows from there a couple of years ago. They just have chain link fences around them. And I think it was in San Jose in Silicon Valley about 9 years ago where they said Bubba with a shotgun after a night out drinking shot up a substation, but they knew to shoot out the cameras, get over the concrete barrier. Look, this is a way to take down the American grid. Exactly. The American grid is a balkanized system of grids that is typical of a third world country. There is no one agency that actually regulates all of it. So I want you to think about this state has a grid, that state has a grid, and nobody, because they've got all these electric companies have their lobbyists, nobody wants to bring the grids up to par. The problem is the way this can happen is it can be an electromagnetic pulse. It can be a nuclear weapon at a high altitude. It can be cyber. It can be physical, like you talked about, or it can be the sun. Every 157 years, there is an attack. The sun creates some kind of a solar flare. So in the end, we could lose everything: bank accounts, hospitals. We could be in darkness in the Northeast. We can't grow food. I mean, this is a mess.
I agree.
So what are we going to do, Greg?
Kill Jesse Waters. I was just thinking that. What if I wanted to kill Jesse Waters? I was listening, and it's like, what if this was just a huge plan to kill one person? So let's say Jesse lives in like Plant Field, New Jersey. So I Google, because you can Google the stations. They're that easy to find. Figure out what station caters to your neighborhood. I shoot that out. You have no alarm system. You have no surveillance cameras. It's a perfect storm for me to finally achieve my dream of murdering Jesse Waters. Don't think, I mean, that could be it. But these stations are sitting ducks, and I'm hesitant to even talk about the vulnerability that's there because the security has not been updated in decades. It would be like doing a segment where, Jesse complains about he left the keys in his Maserati on 46th and 7th Avenue. And, you know, it's like you're actually giving people information that you don't want to give. In fact, the Maserati's in front of the M&M store, in case you're interested.
I really should not have mentioned what you did at Harold's house.
I know, but, you know, it's easy to locate. It's easy to locate these substations. And so what it does, it's almost the equivalent of a terrorist or a criminal knowing the PIN number to our electric grid. Yeah. That's how important. It's the PIN number.
Easier.
It's easy. Yeah, that's what I mean. They have it. They have it. So I think we have to realize that chain link fences aren't enough, or just having them out in a field isn't enough. If you have a long-range rifle, you could do it. So I think we need better monitoring and a readiness posture in case this happens.
What do you think, Jesse?
A bunch of saboteurs sprayed with automatic fire a substation in San Jose in 2013. And we did some digging and found out if you attack just 9 specific substations, you can black out the entire country.
Yep.
Now, you remember, if you ever been living in the suburbs, what happens when you lose power? You go to medieval times, like that.
Not me, but
lights.
yeah.
If you
mean the
can't
restaurant?
afford
a
generator, you know, you're back to lighting candles. That's how scary it is. You can't even blow your hair, Greg. That would actually kill me. And you want to know about the infrastructure bill that he passed, $1.2 trillion. How much of that money went to update the grid? 5%. Have they spent any of that money? No. What did they spend the money on so far? They are in the process of building an anti-racist bird-watching footbridge in Phoenix.
Oh, thank God.
And they're underway with installing heated sidewalks in a small town in New Hampshire.
Oh.
So, you know
Those
what?
feet are cold, Jesse.
Let's take our time with the energy grid, but those sidewalks, they better melt the snow.
But the judge said it why it's hard to do, because it's 50 different agencies. This is a statewide. This is federalism at its worst.
Split $65 billion by 50 state agencies, and there's more than enough money.
change the
I just
laws.
want to tell you very quickly, I went to a hearing right after San Jose, and they had all the senators there. And you know what the issue was? Who was the person at the Wall Street Journal who wrote the article that talked about taking down the grid? They didn't care about regulating it because everybody gets lobbyist money. You can point to the money.
Blame the media.
America deserves
That's what
better
I do.
on that one, indeed. All right.